listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
What I want to share with you guys today is what you should know. Most likely you don't know, and that's okay because it's going to get covered here today. It wasn't your fault prior. They're not teaching this stuff in school. Surprise, surprise. They're not giving you the information that the wealthy have, and they don't know exactly, like they have their own agenda of what they want us to fit within some little boxes. With that being said, the banks make it really easy. They make it really easy because they all have certain rules. They have bank policies. They truly actually want to lend to you, believe it or not. And I know that might be hard for some of us to acknowledge and realize, but it's like the banks want to lend to you. That's how they get paid. That's how they get money. They need to lend to us. However, they're looking for low risk, okay? Low risk. And it's hard to understand or figure out which one is different from another if they don't have a relationship with you. So I'm going to dive into the 40 plus different metrics. We actually have a couple more that I'm not going to share with you on this one. This is for some high level stuff, but I am going to share with you these that I've never shared publicly on like social media platforms. I've done it in webinars, private webinars for people that invest their time, energy, and efforts. So I hope you take advantage of this. I hope you utilize it. I hope you ask questions on it because this information is like the cooking recipe, right? It's the cooking recipe, except if you don't know how to put the damn cake together, if you don't know how to actually get this cuisine all mixed up properly, then it's really going to be useless to you. It may be eye-opening in certain ways, which is going to be great, and that's my goal here, but it's also like you're getting a majority of the puzzle. To get the rest of the puzzle, I highly encourage to just simply book a call. Like book a call with our team. Go to creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. You'll be able to book a call with our team. You could book a call with me. You could actually sit down and say like, hey, I want to talk to Brandon. And if I'm available, I will make myself available to you to serve you because this stuff is important. I'm really passionate about it. It totally, like real estate changed my life. Credit was the thing that did it, right? Like there's good people out there that I'm in masterminds with that are getting bullied on their interest rates, even if they're in the low to mid 700s. You know, you need to be at 760 to 780 range or above to be able to get that best rate. And so they're mixing in some, fees and higher interest and so forth that adds up over time, especially if you got multiple real estate deals, especially if you're hanging on to it for 10, 20, 30 years. Many of us, which, we refi and so forth, but check this out. If you hang on to it for just even a bit of time, it adds up. And you're just pissing away money. You're already spending this one way or another. So my goal is to not just educate you, but inspire you and show you how to actually do this stuff on your own so that you don't need to rely necessarily on the banks or the system or private money lenders. Like you can actually do this successfully, getting up to $500,000 in new funding every 6 months per person. There is an option that you can repeat this every 6 months on your own per person. Okay. And so I rather empower you on how to do this. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, I think it possibly may be important because the first one just drops into it. It's like, hey, do you have any late payments, champ? Okay. Late payments. Let's just cover the 6 boxes for a second because some of these are going to break down and really go over the 6 boxes. So let's discuss it, right? So these are the 6 boxes. If you don't know, now you know. 6 boxes that make up your credit profile, right? These 6 boxes are imperative to your success. If you don't know this, like this is the elementary stuff that should have been taught in school. But check this out. There's 3 boxes that are not circled right now. Those 3 boxes are related towards fixing. The other 3 boxes are related towards building. Those are the circled ones in red, in the middle, and then the bottom left. Those are build. So you always want to do fixing first and then build second. You don't want to put lipstick on the pig and start doing it backwards or simultaneously. You don't want to do that because that's not going to serve you. That's not going to help you out. So instead, what you're going to want to do is verify, hey, And ideally, as you can see, the top colors on all these, you really want them all 6 to be green. Okay. This will allow you to have the 800 plus FICO score, get the best rates, best terms, best conditions, get the highest limits if you know what to say, how to position yourself, and so much more. But doing this, it sets you up for success, hands down. Okay. If you need some credit, which we all do, to be able to leverage into starting a business, growing a business, scaling a business, like taking out the competition, marketing, inventory, budget, to be able to get the best of the best hire-ons, like Turo, e-com, trucking, oil, syndications, you name it. We've had thousands of members come through Credit Counsel Elite in the last couple years, and it's been life-changing for so many that implement this stuff. So I tell you that to say this: the 3 for fix are important for you to do, whether you're in the 800 club or the 300 club. And I truly do mean that. Like, people in the 800 club wave their hand and say, Brandon, I don't need any of that. I'm good to go. I'm already at a great FICO score. Yes, I agree. However, if you spend just 5 minutes of your time on each bureau, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, trust me when I tell you, it will be night and day difference on what it can do for you, what it can open up for other credit lines, and so forth. So whether you're in the 300s or 800s, you're going to need a little bit of fixing. This person right here, you can see that there's several late payments, right? We're at 96%. And as you can tell, the percentage rate above, out of the 6 boxes that make up your credit profile, payment history makes up 35% of your FICO score. It's a big deal. You don't want to miss out on this. The credit card utilization, that one's for build, right? Let's just take it back to just fix related for right now. Hard inquiries, that makes up 10% of your FICO. Not a huge deal. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that. However, just because it only makes up 10% of your FICO, it's usually 1 to 5 points max. And as time goes on, 6, 12, 9 months and above, 12 months. Once time goes on, it's not hurting the points as much anymore. It starts coming back. However, if you have too many, you have too many. And banks they're very jealous. They're very territorial. So if you are searching for too much credit, you will get denied for too much credit. So you may ask yourself, all right, Brandon, well, how the heck are you guys applying for anywhere from 10 to 40 plus applications over a 30-day time frame? And how are you able to repeat that every 6 months? Well, the thing is this: whether you apply for 1 or you apply for 40, it makes the same impact onto your credit profile. And then because of that, you're not going to, whether it's 1 or 40, for the second, third, fourth, after they show up, the first ones, you're going to start getting denied for any others. And so because you've been searching for too much credit, they're going to say searching for too much credit. That's going to be their excuse 9 times out of 10. After 6 months, those excuses start breaking off, saying, you haven't been searching for too much credit recently. You're good to go. There's plenty of banks out there that will drop that excuse after 2, 3, 4 months. But a good, strong average rule is going to be 5, 6 months. So we always just say 6 months just for easy understanding. Going back to this, though, again, it's like whether it's 1 or 40, 50, you want to do it over a 30-day time frame, and ideally about 10 per week. That's like a good, safe average, and then removing hard inquiries as you go. And so we do teach that at Credit Counsel Elite, and actually cleaning up the credit profiles, whether you're in the 800 or 300, it's important. There's no guarantees on the fix-related stuff. Why? First off, it's illegal. Number 2 is I'm not in control of it. And if I was, I would take ownership on it, but I'm not. It's 3 bureaus that are in charge of it, in addition to thousands of these third-party agencies, and even the banks, the lenders, the credit bureaus, the courts, in fact. So it's like there's so many other companies that are involved that we really just need to hold them accountable by their legal requirements to get us documentation back and verify things or not within a certain time frame. And if they don't, then we hold them to the fire, basically, behind it. And the good news is the stuff that we actually implement and utilize, it works. It works. So that's cool. It's a good thing. It helps out and it makes it more simplified, but it's not easy. And it takes time. The fixing process, there's nothing sexy about it. There's certain people that have been able to remove bankruptcies in 24 hours. Others have taken a year. and it's a pain in the rear end. I've had some of my best friends have some negative things on their reports that I've worked with them, endlessly to be able to try to get things removed. And it's just one negative thing, like one stupid thing, forgot payment, whatever. And it could take 6 to 8 months, 12 months. And it's frustrating. Just know and have hope that anything negative, derogatory, delinquent, that is hurting your score, all of it can be removed, improved, and boosting up your score over time if you don't give up. It's either you giving up or the bureaus. And so as long as you stay persistent and you don't give up, no matter what kind of BS they push back at you, you can be victorious at the very end. So again, going back, derogatory remarks are any court liens, child support. It could be bankruptcy. It could be collections. It could be charge-offs. It could be repossessions. Those are the things that it will drop your score 60 to 80 points overnight very quickly. The good news is hospital bills, things like that. A lot of it, in many cases, you have a lot of opportunity to get those deleted. Because there's a lot of workarounds with that the lenders make mistakes on. And there's ways, when there's a will, there's a way. There's opportunities for you to actually be able to challenge it and get them to either verify it, which many times they can't do with the certain techniques that we teach to be able to get it removed. So with that being said, you got the 3 boxes right there that are not circled that are for fixing related. After fix is complete, then you'll jump on to the build. And as you can tell, credit utilization that makes up 30% of your FICO, total accounts that makes up 10%, average credit age makes up 15% of your FICO. In total, all 3 of those make up 55% of your FICO. That's a big deal. It's a big deal if you didn't know. So once fixing is complete, no lates, nothing derogatory, nothing delinquent, no hard inquiries, your utilization is low. When I say low, ideally you want to be at the best, which is 1 to 3%. Okay. If you can't get there, then try to stay at 9% or below. If you can't do that, then stay at 29% or below. Okay. Now, if you're above that, you start getting screwed. You start getting into the yellow, just like my hard inquiries over there, in the yellow section there. That's no good. You don't want that. So that box right over there, that's not looking so good when it's in the yellow. Being that this one's in the 5% to 3%, if possible. There's a little secret there. 1%ers will actually have that statistically. Now, that goes across all of your cards, but in addition, also individually on cards. So you could still be in the 800 club. You could still have all of your utilization at that 5%, let's just say. But you got one card that is maxed out. That's not good. You could still get denied. It's not going to help you. So you just want to be mindful of that. Like I was saying, all 3 of these build boxes, you can use them for authorized users and be able to boost up after everything is cleaned. Fix related, then you move on to build and you can actually boost up these boxes getting to 21 plus total accounts, or you'll be in the green like this one being above 11 worst case scenario. And then the average credit age, it's at 4 right now and that's in the red. Of course it is. Anything 5 or below is in the red. Once you get to 5 to 7, that's in the yellow. It starts helping, but I do not recommend a mass apply. And when I say a mass apply, what I'm referring to is an application sequence. When done correctly, you'll actually be able to get up to a 90% approval odds. It's pretty awesome. And so you want to do that so that you can get the best terms and conditions. You want to get the highest limits. You want to apply for 10 to 40, 50 plus applications and have that 90% approval odds. So then you're walking in with confidence, boldness. You know you're going to get approved because you know how they're judging you. And so that average credit age, you got to be at least 5 years and above on the worst case scenario before you get our permission to do a mass supply. Otherwise, you're just going to be shooting in the dark. You're going to be getting no more than 3 cards realistically. And that's not a mass supply. That's not setting yourself up for success. That's what the average people do out there. That's not what you want to do, especially if you're inside Credit Counsel Elite. Now, if you're struggling with hey, I need to get to 7 years plus to get to the green, or I need 9 years plus to get in the best case scenario and 21 plus total accounts. I'm so close. I'm at 19, something like that. Then what you could do is add authorized users. You could jump on some of my cards right here and be able to if it's all just calculated math. So you wouldn't want to be added to a card that has anything derogatory, delinquent, none of that stuff. But if the card is all in good shape, high limits, low balance, never been late, nothing derogatory, and I add you, for example, to one of mine or somebody else's as an authorized user, then that by the statement closing date, which is every 30 days, you'll be able to get that good credit history reported onto yours. And that, my friend, is how we can guarantee how to show you, actually teach you this stuff, how to actually get to the 800 club in 30 days or less. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff. If you have any questions on that, by all means, put in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you on it. And again, if you forgot or you came in late, make sure you share this out. Okay. I'm inspired to be able to get this information out there. I've never shared this stuff. It's very important. It's very imperative for anybody's success when they're applying or talking to any banks. You're going to want to do these things. So I prefer you not to take any screenshots or share this out, but you could share the video. But if you are going to, make sure you tag me on social media and give me the credit where credit's due, because it will help you, bottom line. All right, let's talk about it. So like I was mentioning, number one, it's going to be, do you have any late payments? I already told you, if you do, you're going to have to get it figured out and removed. What you could do is call the banks and ask them to update it as paid as agreed as a one-time goodwill gesture, especially if it's been within the last couple months. You have way better chances to get it updated as paid as agreed. If it's been within the last year, it is hurting your credit drastically, and it makes it very difficult for you to get any type of new funding. After 1 year to 2 years, it makes less of an impact, but still hurts and it's still, messing up with that score. After that, it drops down another level when it goes to 2 years to 4 years. Okay. It hurts the score a little bit less, but it's still penalizing it, and banks may start opening up a little bit more. However, they're definitely going to have some questions of like, hey, what the heck was that back then with this account? And what has changed? Has anything changed? Like, how can we even trust you or label you as a lower risk right now when you're like skyrocket list, right? At high risk. So with that being said, after 4 years of a late payment, leave it alone. It's not hurting your score anymore. Just leave it. If you touch it, you start messing with it, it could actually show up as an active, like brand new, fresh negative account, hurting your score. That'd be no bueno for sure. All right, I'm going really slow here. I need to start running through this stuff. So number 2 is going to be any derogatory accounts. We talked about that. If you have anything, you can't apply for anything. You're going to want to make sure you get those removed ASAP. It doesn't have a score, like a percentage attached to your FICO. Just know it's huge. Like, not good. So make sure you get that cleaned up before ever trying to apply for anything, whether it's 4 years old or not. Like, clean that sucker up. In many cases, it's more than doable. Number 3. Sorry if I'm like yelling in the mic right now. What is your total utilization and what is the highest utilization on any card? Like I mentioned, utilization, it's not just as a whole on all of your cards, but also individually. You're going to want to be at 1 to 3% ideally. Number 4 is going to be the total accounts. Like I said, you're in the green when you're at 11 plus. If you're not there, or if you are there, to get to the best is going to be 21 plus total accounts. And they want to see, which brings to the next number 5, mixed use of accounts. It's not just regular personal credit cards, it's also retail credit cards, personal loans, student loans, auto loans, mortgages, etc. You don't need to have all of them. Like, I don't have any student loans, I don't have any retail credit cards, but they do want to see mixed use. They don't want to just see one type of product that you've always had and that's it. Okay, they want to see that you can handle 21 plus total accounts. I know it's different than your average that you grew up thinking, and your grandfather or somebody at school told you should only have maybe 1 or 2 different accounts, maybe 3 at the max as a backup plan. That's BS. It's inaccurate. They want to actually see that you can be a good steward of the funding and different products, different services, and you can be responsible with it, right? So it's important. Number 6, how many hard inquiries do you have in the last 24 months, which is 2 years, after, as well as 12 months, 6 months, and the last 30 days? Specifically, a couple things here. In the last 6 months, if you've applied for anything, it's important to understand like what have you applied for and how much have you applied for in the last 6 months if you want to do a mass apply with us in the short coming months, like sooner than later, in the last 30 days as well. Like if you have any hard inquiries or anything, that we need to try to get those removed ASAP. Now, hard inquiries should be dropping off your credit profile within 24 months. That's 2 years. However, the bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, those three, they do have up to 6 months to actually get it legally removed once they're supposed to fall off. Many times they don't take that long. Sometimes they do. Keep in mind the three main bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, they are just mom and pop companies. They are no better, bigger. They are bigger, but they are no better or different than you or my business, my company and yours. They make mistakes all the time. Statistically, they have over 50% or 70%, some crazy, of inaccuracies being reported on all credit profiles. Like something crazy. It's like, wow, that's a lot you guys are screwing up on. They're all just data collecting companies, okay? Don't get that confused. Number 7, what is your average credit age? Again, we talked about this in the 6 boxes, which cover a lot, but it's important to get that visual. The average credit age, you want to be at 9 years plus. If not, get to 7 years plus. If not, you do not have my permission to apply for multiple credit cards or any other products for that matter if you are below 5 years average credit age. It is something in your control that you can boost up your score by adding authorized users. Again, fix first, build second, boost up that score second, and you can get them for free. There's methods and systems that we teach inside Credit Counts Elite to get them for free. Otherwise, sometimes it just pays for efficiency, and it makes sense to do that, to pay for them and to just get it timely, quick, without any headache, with no issues. And so we have resources that can save you 25 typically to 50% than what the average price is on the market online. But we can show you how to get those as well. And if you want to pay a premium, God bless you. Where are we at? We are at number 8. That's primary accounts. Primary accounts, which would be like ones that you own, that's yours, versus authorized users. You saw on, like, ideally, I told you want to be at 21 plus total accounts, right? If not, you're going to be at 11 plus to get in the green. If you're below that, you're below that, and you can't really force it too much. Some people just getting started, they have very little on their credit, maybe 2-3 accounts. That's okay. If you do, we've worked with plenty of people still have been able to get over 100,000, 150, 200,000 in new funding with the techniques that we teach. But you got to start somewhere, right? And so if you do have just a couple accounts on there, if you wanted to add more authorized users to be able to get closer to the accounts that you need, or be able to boost up your average age and get your utilization down, things like that, then keep in mind that it has to be, you can't have more primary, or you can't have more authorized users than primary accounts, okay? Ideally, you barely even want it to be 50-50, okay? So if you have only 3 main primary accounts, I would say max get 3 authorized users, but ideally stay below, like at 2, 1, 2, 3 max, okay? It's important for you to realize that. Otherwise, if you get too many, they're going to start denying you, just realizing that your score is inflated by you just understand how to, rig the game and boost it up. Number 9, it's going to be any new credit accounts within the last 6 months. I talked about that. 6 months, it is very, very important, because if you've applied even just for one in the last couple of months, it's like you may be able to get some more credit, but it is going to hold you back from doing a big boy mass apply. And so that's why we do it every 6 months, because again, the banks are very, very jealous. And so when it comes down to banks, there is a tier that you want to consider, and it's big banks first, like Chase, Bank of America, US Bank, Citi, Discover, Capital One, Wells Fargo, American Express, and so on. And then it's regional banks, and that could be like Banner Bank, Truist, Key Bank, Huntington Bank, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like these banks are going to be more your regional banks. And then lastly, it's going to be small local credit unions. And that's what's ever convenient to you. Don't get it twisted with like two of the largest credit unions I would consider as like the big boy banks, which would be Navy Federal Credit Union. It's the largest nationwide. And then the second largest credit union is going to be Penn Fed Credit Union, Pentagon Federal Credit Union. So those two are the largest. I wouldn't consider them the small local credit union. So just be aware of that. But all these banks have great opportunities. You want to put them in that order as you're starting to build out your list and really dial this stuff in. So where are we at? Number 10. Do you already have a relationship with the bank? Woo! Man, people sleep on this one all the time. There's a reason why it's highlighted, right? Now, the know, like, and trust factor is real. And so put yourself in the bank's shoes for a second. If you are the bank, and I've been the bank multiple times, it's a blessing and a curse. But when you are the bank, because sometimes you got to foreclose, right? You got to go after other people that you lend out money and it didn't work out for some reason, one reason or another. So when you are the bank and you see your job is to lend out money, right? That's how you get paid. You need to lend out money. You're the bank. That's what the banks do. They have to lend out money. When you see your neighbor every day, day in, day out, juggling maybe, their kids as well as groceries on Friday nights or something. They're going to work like clockwork, going to the gym after. You can see the in and out, right? You get to wave and say hi, like, how are you? Happy holidays, things like that, right? That's a know, like, and trust factor that you just see the routine. You see that they're consistent and friendly, right? Versus if that person was coming up to you and saying like, hey, I'm looking for a loan to be able to start this thing and grow and scale and, keep up with whatever. Like if that person did that and asked you are the bank, you're looking to lend out, right? Versus somebody random, you have no idea, just walked up the street and said, hey, you're the bank? Cool. I'm looking for some money. How much you want to give me? And so you got these two people and you have to lend to just one of them. Who are you more likely going to lend to because of the simple fact of supply and demand, how much you have, as well as overall, who is a lower risk? Who do you feel better giving to? It's the know, like, and trust factor. Do not sleep on bank relationships. The more that you have, the better. The longer you've been with a bank, the better it is. So do not make that mistake of closing banks out. Stay with them. The longer, the better. And even if you're not using them currently, keep a little bit of money in there so you're not getting hit with monthly fees. There are ways to avoid monthly fees. Google it, look it up, ask the banker yourself. If you got to go set up ACH, bill pay, if you got to do a direct deposit from your W-2. If you have to go to the dollar store and use your debit card a few times once a month, it's like, it may be beneficial so that you're not paying any fees and you keep the relationship established. And then when you see a new product or service that you want to take advantage of in the next 3-6 months, then you can start stirring up that relationship and really using it as your main one, right? Keep in mind, again, banks are very jealous. They're very territorial. So make sure that you treat them as if it's like your main squeeze versus your side piece, okay? You get the drift. All right, number 11. How long have you had the relationship with the bank? Do you already have a relationship, bank? And then how long have you been with so the longer that you've been with them, the better at the end of the day. Number 12, it's going to be how many. Well, so a relationship bank, what we're looking for is a manager, ideally. So a business bank relationship manager can really serve you and help out in so many ways. And so if you can find them, then utilize them because they work directly with underwriting. They typically only work with the wealthy, at a certain dollar amount per year. It's all stated income that you're going to be stating to them. And so they can help you get a better approval odds at the end of the day. Number 12, how many of the bank's products and services are you using? Checking, savings, personal, business, CDs, mortgages, auto loans, personal loans, business loans, other investments, etc. The more products and services that you are taking advantage of, the better. And so you want to be with the bank for the longest period of time. You want to utilize the more products and services. Why? Because the banks go off of statistics. They can't see what other bank relationships you have unless it's on your credit report with certain credit cards, right? But they don't know who else you're banking with, who else you have your money with, and they are looking for the lifetime value of their customers, right? And because they know the more products and services you have from them, the more likely they're going to be able to make money from you one way or another down the road. And so they want to capitalize on that. And they also want to, they don't want to lose you to some other bank. So statistically, if they know, hey, the average person has just maybe a personal checkings and savings, but there's, their avatar for ideal wealth, low risk management has 2 business checking accounts, one personal, like a business savings account, a personal checking and savings, a CD, for God's sakes. Like they have these products and services. You want to fit within those avatars, right? Number 13, whether or not you have a direct deposit set up with the bank and the amount that's coming in. So if you can set up a direct deposit, it is going to set up just a stronger relationship. They like that stuff because it's less likely, statistically again, that you are going to want to cancel that or take the time and energy and efforts to cancel that. And so they know they can kind of bet on it a little bit longer, that it's less likely you're going to leave them. And you're kind of wrapped around their finger a little bit more. It's just statistics. That's what they're going after. Number 14, what is your total balance in all of your personal bank accounts per bank relationship? And then 15 is the same thing. It's just for related towards the balances in your business bank relationship. Now, the balances, it makes a difference. How much money is going in versus how much money is going out over a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day, or even a 6 months time frame. That's number 17. All of this stuff is very important. Going back to 16 here, it's like the tiers of your accounts. There's a low 5, a mid 5, high 5, etc. Like there's these internal ratings with how much money is actually in the accounts. They don't want to just see money sitting there. And again, if you just have money sitting in there for the last couple of years and you're just keeping it to the corner, that when you see a good product pop up with that bank, you're like, cool, I'll start mixing it up and stirring up the relationship so I can apply in 3 to 6 months. Great. But if you just open an account, sit a couple bucks in there and then just like walk away and then apply, a couple weeks later, that's not necessarily going to serve you, especially if it's underneath like $1,000. Ideally, a low 5 is a great standings, and that's when you have $10,001 in the bank account or going up to like 40,000. The highest and best tiers is when you're at 100,000 plus, or even getting to, $1 million plus, right? There's other tiers after that for the extra wealth. But with that being said, these lower tiers, don't freak out if you're like, Brandon, dude, I only got $1,000. I only got a couple $1,000. Like, can I still get a relationship going? Again, there's going to be things in your control and things out of your control that you're not going to be able to necessarily control. And that's okay. And so figure out all of these different steps and figure out what you can optimize on your own and be prepared with, and then be like ready when these banks potentially deny you or throw up a red flag because, whatever circumstance, because you didn't have enough money in the account or something, right? That was more like, I don't know what else to do. So just be prepared to hit the reconsideration line and get it overturned. And there's many ways to be able to do that. Number 18 is going to be the checking account type. Is it elite or is it like a low level, like a beginner, just kind of opening a student type of account? If you're applying for, I see it all the time, people are applying for elite type of credit cards when in fact their credit profile in general an elite type of card, right? One of the bank policies is, I'll give a quick live example here. Navy Federal Credit Union. I mentioned that's the largest credit union out there, right? So they have an elite type of credit card, and you cannot get approved with that credit card if, no matter what, if you do not have their elite checking account. Okay. And most people just don't know these rules. They're not telling you these rules before you apply. They just let you wing it and just like, sorry, dude, like we're capturing all the data on you, but we're not telling you like, hey, you're automatically going to get denied because you don't have, one of our policies goes with, you don't have an elite checking account. So therefore you don't qualify for this card, no matter if you're in the 850s or not. Like, and so it's important to realize that banks have bank rules. They also have bank policies. Bank rules could be like Chase 5 and 24 rule, or Chase of 2 and 30 day rule, or American Express 1 and 5 day rule, or American Express 2 and 90 day rule. There's these rules that you can't apply for too many cards within a certain time frame, or they'll deny you unless you're working with and justify why you deserve that card and can work things out. So you just want to be prepared and equipped with understanding some of these things. Number 19, what your profile states under your account. So again, if you had like, some of us open up our accounts when we're younger. You could have been working at Burger King for God knows. You could have been a student and just wrote student on there, like, living at mommy's house. I don't know. But whatever you put underneath your profile, however many years ago, make sure yearly you're checking back in underneath your account so that you're updating it. And you're manifesting the future a little bit, if you will. You want to put a little bit higher stated income. You want to do a low risk industry. You want to make sure that what you're stating on your avatar, like your profile with that bank, it actually aligns with what they are looking to lend to, and it makes sense, and so it will lower you as a low risk and give you more pre-approval options and opportunities. Number 20. What is stated on your applications? What is the job? What is the industry? Is it a low risk? Is it high risk? The credit space is high risk. Believe it or not, real estate with many banks are labeled high risk. I know it sounds crazy because there's so much money and there is strategic ways to be able to make money in real estate, but they label it as high risk. If you are in real estate, they don't label high risk, many banks at least. A good rule of thumb is if you are in property management and you are collecting rent, okay? So that's something to be aware of. If you wanted to switch around, the industry type so it's not comes off as high risk. Trucking space, high risk, like all these crazy things that these banks are labeling high risk. And so you can Google, you can also ask the bank straight up, like, hey, what is your bread and butter that you love to lend to? And what do you not like to lend to? Like what don't you like to lend to so that you can be a little bit more prepared for it? Stated annual income for your personal. So for your personal, if you're applying for personal cards, they're only going to ask for personal. If you're applying for business cards, they're going to ask for the business gross income, and then they're going to ask for your personal. You should always, consider, you should always consider having your stated income anywhere like four to 5 times what the actual is. However, because it's stated, it's okay. Okay. You don't want to say like you're a teacher or making, 30, 40, 50 grand a year. That's not going to serve you. And you live in a city that, it's expensive. There's not much left on the table there, and therefore it's a higher risk to them. Anything could happen. Keep in mind with the stated annual income for business, for example, you want it to be like your expenses to be roughly about, like a good business is running about 30 to 40%, right? So 35% rough range is a good profit margin for a business. So keep in mind, if let's say you're doing $1 million in business, then 35% of that would be profits, 350,000. Okay. So that's something good that you could put on there. And then your expenses would be 650,000. In that case, 65%. So those are just rough numbers that you can kind of play around with. Anywhere from like 120,000, 150,000 on the low end would be ideal to, low 4s, mid 4s or above, depending on what you're actually doing. Again, you can double it, you could triple it, you could 4x it, and you shouldn't have too much of an issue. If any banks ever put you underneath a financial review, understand this, that you can always just turn in your documentation, hit the reconsideration later, and like keep moving forward. You're going to be okay. But if you aren't making anything, and it's like your bank relationship sees that as well. You've been with your bank for a while, but there's no money in there. You're barely getting by, like you're hitting the negatives each and every month. It's going to be hard for you to justify like you're doing some big numbers. But again, if you're putting under 100K, it's going to be hard for you to get any realistic numbers either. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Number 22 is, do you rent or do you own your residence? Now, we haven't actually seen a significant change or a difference for the answer to this. So you could put rent, you could put own, it really doesn't matter. But the next one is 23 is your monthly payment. Now, some people like to say, oh, like lower my debt to income ratio, which is the next one, and make it look like, well, I live with parents, or I have people paying my stuff, I get cash flow. Like, I'm not actually paying for anything here. You're still going to want to put something. I know it sounds good logically of like, well, I don't pay anything for this and I rent out the other rooms. Great. But if it looks like you don't have any responsibilities, or it's not going to look so good. Okay. They're going off of statistics. And again, like a high paying income, a low risk, an avatar that they may want to, lend to or take a bet on. Let's say a doctor, for example, making $500,000 a year. This doctor, most people, as they start making money, they also start boosting up their lifestyle as well. It's not the sexiest thing. It's just, it is what it is. And people make that mistake. And so when they do that, which is very common, let's say that this person is making $500,000 a year, they probably have maybe a family, like a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom house, 3-bath, three full baths. They have a pool in the backyard. They have a 4-car garage. They have multiple cars. They go on vacations a couple of times a year. They, have a good sized grocery bill. They have gas bills. They have solar. They have like all these things that start adding up, even concerts and so forth and entertainment. And so therefore, they know that, and they anticipate that you're going to spend more on the cards, and they like that. They want to make, like, every transaction on your credit cards, the banks are getting a little piece with the merchant. So therefore, like, they want to do this. It just makes sense for them. What else? We covered the next one, which is DTI as well. Well, DTI, you really kind of like real estate, right? Like you want to be below 40%. The lower your debt to income ratio, the better. So get it to 20% and above, like 25, 30%, and you're in good shape. When you start getting a little out of hand, 50, 60%, it makes it way more difficult to get any type of funding. 25 is the business name. So, like I mentioned, avoid all high risk fields, right? And so for like real estate companies, a lot of people, now that you might know, for real estate investors, real estate is a high risk. And so the banks aren't really excited to lend to that. And so therefore, to be able to maneuver around that and still get the banks to lend to you, you want to keep it a little bit more generic. You don't want to put investments or investing. You don't want to put real estate in the name and so forth. You want to keep it a little bit generic. You want to think of companies like Walmart or Target, for example, like before the conglomerate of the brand that we know today. When you hear the word Target or a Walmart, you'd be like, what the heck is that? Maybe Target, you would assume that it's a shooting range. I don't know, but it's like Walmart, you would be like, what the heck is that? And so now we know it to be the big brand, right? So that may confuse you, but realistically, you don't want to say, investing company or real estate or any other high risk type of names. You want to kind of avoid that and keep it kind of blended in. Next, 26 is going to be your NAICS codes or your SIC codes. These you can simply Google. There's a website on there that will break down a low risk type of codes and justify what codes you can kind of pick out that will set you up for your success. When you're opening bank accounts, you want to use these codes. When you're applying with certain credit cards and banks, you want to use these codes and so forth. 27, how long have you been using the biz? Or like how long you've been in the business and the industry in general. The longer the better, because they go off of statistics again. So most businesses fail within the first 2 years, right? And then after that, I think it's like 50, 80% fail within the first 5 years. And then out of that, it's like another 40% or 50, 60% fail by 10 years. So it's like, it's a lot a lot of pressure on that. And so you're going to want to try to be in the industry. The longer, the better. And if you're not, then you can still either get aged entities. You can, which there is an industry for that. I can always find them and sell them to you so that you aren't getting screwed over, paying overprice. Aged entities should be anywhere from $2,500 to $8,000, like $7,500 to $8,000, typically max. Okay. When you're paying more than that, I've had people come in to Credit Counts Elite that just got one that paid $25,000 and even $40,000. And it was blacklisted, it was used, it was abused, it was negative things popping up afterwards. It was a nightmare. And so you want to be cautious of that and be on the lookout. For age entities, which is 28, ideally you want to have either a 2-year, a 4-year, or a 10-year plus. 2 years is the bare minimum because there's plenty of banks that will make you wait until you've been in business for the first 2 years before they'll trust you with lending any type of money. Because again, statistically, so many will fail within your first 2 years. And then 29, stated annual income for the business. We already mentioned this a little bit, but sometimes when you're starting a brand new business, you still got to tell them what you're projected. So manifest your future a little bit. And ideally, if you're working with a business bank relationship manager, you can state in the millions, low 1 to 5 million, right? Even if you're not doing it, they are going to be they'll be able to work with underwriting to hook you up and take care of you. If your bank relationship doesn't match that and it's like nowhere close, it's just such a far stretch, I recommend keeping the business stated income under $1 million, keeping it roughly $850 to like $950 max, for the simple fact that when you hit $1 million or more, a lot of the banks want to if they don't have enough info on you, they may want to put a financial review on you so that they can verify your income and then be able to set you up with somebody on their team, somebody with that bank that is a business bank relationship manager, so that they can actually get you connected, take care of you more, and set you up for more success and be able to kind of serve you and keep you happy so that you don't leave and go to some other bank. All right, number 30 is the expected monthly spend. Not all banks are going to ask this, but some will. And so the expected monthly spend for that example that I gave earlier, gross $1 million for the business, profit 35%, that's $350, expenses $650,000. If you just divide it by 12, I think it's like $58,000, $55,000, something like that. Like, you just do the math, and I recommend typically keeping it under 50, but it just depends on your bank relationship and what's your highest and lowest credit card limit that you currently have. 31 is going to be requesting. Let me go back to that for a second, just so you know, like if your lowest or your highest credit card limit that is visible on the personal side is like $5,000, then it's hard for you to justify like, oh, I'm going to be at, 50,000 or 60,000. It's hard to justify that. We've had members get 100,000 in credit lines at Credit Counts Elite. However, if you're not used to running money through your accounts and making it look like, oh, you can do this and you've been doing this with other banks, then it's going to be nearly impossible. There's levels to this stuff to be able to build up to. Okay, where are we at? 31. All right, requesting the credit line. So when you are requesting, sometimes they'll give you the opportunity to request a certain line, like a certain limit. Always basically bounce it off of that monthly expected and stay just a little bit higher. If sometimes you could get denied on the application, you hit the reconsideration line. Sometimes you get approved and you get a lower limit that you'd like, hit the reconsideration line and ask for a higher amount. Ask for 2-3 times the amount. The banks will always meet you somewhere in the middle. If you ask for 10,000, they'll give you, 8,000. They'll give you 5,000, something like that. So always state higher so that they can settle somewhere in the middle. Okay. 32 is how much has the bank extended in credit to you already? There's limits. There's limits with each and every bank. So for example, Chase has a limit of 150,000. You can get up to 150,000 with our contact at Chase. However, as a whole, if you already have 150,000 and you want more, you just have to turn in documentation for it. So for no or low docs and favorable interest rates, aka 0%, like getting as low as 0%, then you want to stay within your limits. So all banks have certain limits, and we have kind of a list of that to be able to help out you as well. Where are we at? 33. Have you used an affiliate link for the application or not? Ideally, think of an affiliate link. You can find them online. You can ask your friends, family. You can borrow some from other people within our group of Credit Counsel Elite. At the end of the day, like if I have them, I got a lot, so I can always send you something. But you typically want to utilize an affiliate link because the banks look at the lifetime value of a customer, and if somebody's bragging about it and sharing out their link to another potential member, then that's gonna they want to do that. It's like free marketing, right? And so it just makes sense. Like if you're bringing somebody to the barbecue and you brought them, and it's your family, like your whole family is going to praise them up and love them just as if it's you, right? Because you brought them. If you have somebody random just popping up to the barbecue, it may be a little different, like a little bit more mean mugged. So you just want to, like, ideally, if you have an affiliate link, use it. And sometimes you can get higher sign up bonuses and other benefits behind it too. So why not? 34 is going to be individual credit card utilization. It's not just as a whole on all the credit cards, it's also individualized. So if you have one of your cards maxed out, your score's still in the 800, but one's maxed out, your overall utilization is low. It's still a big deal. You need to get that one bare bones down to the yellow, which is 30 to 49%. But realistically, truthfully, you need to get it in the green, which is 29% or below. 35 is going to be most recent late payment, whether it's 1 year. If it's within 1 year, you're screwed. You got to change that. If it's 1 to 2 years, 2 to 4, 4 years plus, I already covered that with you guys. 36 is going to be the reasons for requesting and searching for credit. Why are you actually asking for credit? Are you going on vacation? Are you in a bunch of debt right now? Do you want it for marketing? Do you want to, if you have inventory, you already have contracts, you already have contracts and people are going to pay you, but it's within a certain period of time, like 30, 60, 90 days, then it is better and you just want to get paid up front to be able to service, like that's stuff that they like to lend to, right? So figure out the reasons and make sure that it justifies as low risk versus, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to ball out this weekend and buy a $20,000 Gucci sweatshirt, can't afford that. Doesn't make sense. Not good. All right. 37 is going to be using a business bank relationship manager or not for your applications. Definitely use it. I already mentioned that. Very important. 38 is going to be hidden business cards. How much debt do you have on them? If it's maxed out, you won't be able to get funding with that certain bank. So if you have, I mentioned Chase, you can get up to 150K with them. If you have, let's say 100,000 with them right now, and you're like, cool, I can get another 50K, Brandon says, cool, that is accurate. However, if you already have, 40, 50, 60,000 in debt with them, like balances on the credit cards, they're not giving you any more. They're not going to give you any more until you pay that stuff off, whether it's 0% or not. If you're taking advantage of a promotional deal or not, you're going to want to pay them off so that with that bank, particularly before you get more funding from that bank. So what you could do is go to a different bank first, get funding from them. Afterwards, get that new funding, pay off those other Chase cards temporarily so that you can get more funding, another 50K from them, max out your opportunities, and then take all the credit lines from them and start putting it back to work. Like there's plenty of different opportunities for you to do so. 39, any loans that have the remaining balance that is greater than 80% of the original loan. What I mean by this is, okay, so if you got a loan, loans typically are going to be over a certain period of time. The duration of it can be a 30-year fix for like a mortgage, or a 5-6 year car, or could be a personal loan financially for a couple years. But usually you have more interest up front versus going towards principal for your first chunk of the terms, the time frame. And when that is the case, you could have your loan for the first, couple years, and your original balance that you took out is still roughly the same amount that is owed, because all of it's going towards principal, or I'm sorry, all of it's going towards interest. With that being said, that scares the banks. It scares it, because they're like, dude, you still owe the same amount that you took out back then. So what you want to do is really get it to 80% or below so that they can feel good. And I know that doesn't feel good listening to that, and you don't always need to do it. But if you're getting denied because your balances are too high, and you're looking and you're like, no, they're not. All my utilization's good, but my loans are a little bit higher than, and you're still paying as agreed. You got good terms, good like all that stuff. I get it. You're going to have to make that call whether or not you want to be able to pay that down or not, and if it actually makes sense. All right, champ, let's run this out. We got a couple more left. 40, verify. No issues, baby, on check systems and early warning signs. Those are the scores, basically. So if you have been applying to open up, and you should be getting a new bank relationship open every 2 weeks, right? That will save you from getting on check systems or early warning signs. However, if you do it every day, if you're opening up too many accounts too fast, too soon, then if you do it online, it's more likely you're going to get hit with these systems, these flags, these warnings. You rather do it in person, build the relationship. Worst case scenario, do it over the phone or try to use some kind of resource, but do it in person ideally, because when you do it online, there are systems in place to, if somebody steals your identity and then scammers are trying to open up a bunch of accounts so they can do a mass supply really quick, get a bunch of funding, and then run off. This is why these systems are set up. And what they'll do is they'll basically pause your accounts underneath your social and your ID and everything. So you won't be able to open up a new checking account or anything, any bank relationship, or apply for anything for about 30 days. It just pumps the brakes really hard. So you don't want to be on any of those because it just slows down the process, doesn't make it fun while you're waiting, trying to let it drop off so you can do your mass supply. 42, where are you applying online? If in a different state while traveling or out of the country, good luck. So what I mean by that is ideally you should be applying in person. If not, then you could do it over the phone. If you have a business bank relationship manager, great. You do it with them, whichever way. But, worst case scenario, do it over the phone. But if you absolutely have to do it online, make sure you're in the States. If you're out of the States, even if you're traveling in a different state, but you're putting your home address and everything to your home state, then make sure that you are using a VPN. But realistically, it's like, you shouldn't be doing it when you're out of the country traveling. Like, just enjoy your travels and then come back and do it properly without the VPN, without any issues like this, because it could definitely hold it back. Number 43, which is the last one that I'm going to share with you guys today, is going to be make sure that you opt in to the pre-screening sites. So opt in is going to be checking out two sites. It's going to be factortrust.com as well as optoutprescreening.com. Again, you're going to want to opt in to both of those. It takes 2 minutes of your time to opt in. You're basically asking for free spam to your credit profile. It's just a soft pull on your credit each and every month, or as often as these banks want to. It's a soft pull, so it doesn't affect it, doesn't hurt it, but the banks have an avatar that they like to lend to, a little box that they want to put you in. And so they get to do a soft pull and verify, and sometimes get you pre-approved, pre-selected, and good to go, and sending out this offer to you sooner than later. And you'll start getting just a stack of these letters, which really set you up for success. So these are the 6 boxes. These are the 40 plus metrics on how these banks and lenders are judging you and how to play the game. And I want to show you a couple other things really quick. So at the end of the day, you have options, you have choices, right? There's plenty of different, the traditional model out there that is jacking up the game. Unfortunately, they're getting horrible results, not being transparent, not showing you the path, not equipping you with the path. Like you're not going to be able to do this every 6 months on your own with some of these other, fugazis, we call them. So at the end of the day, you're really going to want to, like, I treat this like real life Monopoly. We've had thousands of members come through Credit Counsel Elite. We have hundreds within Credit Counsel Elite right now, and just crushing it, like totally murdering the game and doing wild things, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in new funding. Sen right here ended up getting like 280 in new funding. Nick Perry's been with us in the past. He's gotten massive amounts of funding. He's also been able to help out his whole team. He was making like $30,000 a week by doing some credit stuff that he learned within Credit Counsel Elite. Keaton just got 46,000 in new funding, and he ended up putting it in crypto because he's a gangster at crypto, and he's in another mastermind that he's learning that stuff. And so he ended up turning it into 400,000 pretty quickly, which is awesome. I love it. Brandon here, he's flipped cars, planes, houses. He's gotten over 640,000 in new funding. Let me see. Mo right in the middle here. Mo ended up getting 545,000 new funding. Nico got like 325, 380 maybe in new funding, and he's doing his second mass supply now. Who else? Duncan got 650,000 new funding. He bought 3 new real estate properties and literally was collecting $9,000 a month off of his rental portfolio with nothing into it himself. Ryan in the bottom corner here, he ended up getting 467,000 in new funding with one card at 100K. Tom has done the same thing. He's gotten a couple 100,000 new funding. Like Steve has done, I think, got close to maybe a little over 300,000 as well. Jason in the top corner where my face is right now, he's gotten over 320,000 in new funding on his first mass supply. I believe he's right around the same amount on his second mass supply right now. The list goes on and on. Okay. And I just want to encourage you, like, if you are serious about 2025 and you really want to be able to take off, like running, like really skiing down these slopes here, and being able to have the opportunity to not just start your business. Like if you haven't started it yet, you want to leave the 9-to-5, you want to go all in, like you're going to want to be prepared. And so you may have some money saved up. That's great. It takes more. It takes more to be able to run. You're going to make mistakes. It's part of the process. You'd rather be in a community of like-minded individuals that have been there and done it, and that can actually hold you accountable and help you out and have the resources, have the playbook. So we have a new educational course that's all put together. We have new training, new materials. We have it all dialed in. We have the support as well. We're investing in our fulfillment to make sure that we are guiding, that you get one-on-one attention as well as group setting. Right now we have Mondays and Thursdays that we are giving hours and hours worth of just live interaction and answering all types of questions. And it's because we know this stuff works. We know that this stuff can totally change your life, getting massive amounts of funding. And so I just encourage you that I don't want you to be on the fence anymore. If 2024 was great, but you started looking back and you're like, I didn't get to do that one thing. I didn't do this one thing. If you need to start a business, grow and scale a business, take it to the next level. If you want that more freedom, like this is exactly what I did. God knows how many years ago now. Like I started playing around with the credit space back in 2013. And so 2015, I got the balls together to actually jump into real estate. But I had to do it with credit. I didn't have money saved up. I didn't and you may resonate, like you didn't have, the rich uncle or something. You're not prepared any other way. So you're going to want to do it with banking, other people's money, the banks, but you want to do it properly so that you can get the best terms and conditions and interest rates as low as 0%. So I encourage you, if this resonates with you, if it makes sense and you have any other questions, I would absolutely be honored to work with you on it and to show you what we've done. Like we got 350 members actively right now, but we've helped out thousands and we know it works. There's nobody in the space that is doing even a smidge bit as good as as we are and getting the results that we are. And I promise you, and I say that with confidence and conviction. And so like we know those guys are just not doing it. And so if you are serious, you want something bigger and better, and you want to stop settling for less, 2024 was great, but 2025 is your year. So I encourage you, reach out, take action. I think the best way, honestly, would be, I'll share the link afterwards for you guys, just to book a call with us. So go to creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. There's a quick 5-10 minute video on there that explains more about what the heck we do and how it could bless you, answer some questions right from the start that could help out tremendously. But then afterwards, ideally, it's going to prepare you to ask even better questions. And at that point, you can schedule a one-on-one call with either myself or somebody on our team that are assessment coaches. They've been trained to be able to understand exactly where you're at and be able to understand the process to be able to help you out. And at that point, you can ask any questions, tell us exactly where you're at, what your goals are, what you're looking to accomplish, what's struggling you and stopping you from getting there. And by all means, we are here to serve you. So I'm paying for them to be able to guide you and make sure that it's just one time though. It's free, complimentary on the first time. Okay. So if you have any questions, that would be the time to bring them. Bring your significant other, friends, family. It doesn't matter. It's going to be geared up to be able to better serve you. And at that point, just tune in, ask questions, and we can explain too, if you want to hear what it would look like to work together with us. I would be honored to show you that. Otherwise, we'll give you a list of 10 banks. You can do this and get a bunch of funding up to $50,000 from each of these 10 banks alone on your own if you choose to. So one way or another, I want to see you succeed in 2025. Okay. And that's why I'm just pouring in all this stuff, because it's important, it's needed, and it's everything. It really is. So real estate changed my life. Credit was the catalyst to do it. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that blesses you today. I just poured out my heart for you on this one. And again, because we were doing this recording, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. You are missing out. And that would be a flag. That would be a no bueno, no good at all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. First and foremost, leave that 5-star review. And after a few episodes, share it out. Friends, family, you know the drift. But love you guys all so much. Have a blessed evening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode next week. Okay? Till next time, guys. God bless. Peace out.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.